So devotees are just coming together. We can, in the meantime, as we are in a temple, then we can say Vandeham Shri Guru and mini Vandanam. Vandeham Shri Guru, then Om Gyan Timarandasya, and then Vanchakalpatrubhyascha, and then Namo Mahavaranyaya. So this is our kind of mini Vandana. And Udaran Prabhu, welcome. And Chinmoy Prabhu, yes, Dandavat and welcome. So mini Vandanam, we can say together, but with the microphones off, otherwise we get a little clash of time only. Bandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuttapada Kamalang, Shri Gurung Vaishnavang Cha, Shri Rupam Sagrajatam, Sahagana Raghunatan Vitang Tang Sajivam, Sadvaitam, Savadutam, Parijana Sahitan, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shri Radha Krishna Padam, Sahagana Lalita, Shri Vishakanvitang Cha. Om Agyana Timirandasya, Gyananjana Shalakaya, Chakshur Anmilitam Jena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Then Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namne Gaurataje Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vas Adi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome to all of the devotees on Zoom, on Facebook, and who will be seeing presently. So our obeisances, we already gave our obeisances, but our obeisances to each other, kind of consciously and on Facebook. Rupa Vilas Prabhu, Seva Rupa Didi in Mexico, and Nirupama Devi Dasi are with us. Nirupama in Govinda land in Ukraine. And Bhagavan Prabhu is just joining. And this gives us a moment for you all to collect together the treasures that you wish to reveal during our back to basics today, about the basics of devotional life. And actually, everything is a basic of devotional life in one sense. That even if we do hear some advanced things, that's our basis. Okay, we keep that on our head and we keep our feet on the ground and continue happily. Bhagavan Das Prabhu, Venezuela, welcome. Hare Krishna, Dandavat. Prabhu, we just gave mini Vandanam and obeisances to each other. So welcome to Bhagavan Prabhu. So I can start by asking you all, who would like to volunteer a treasure to share something from your week's reading, hearing, participating, experience, pain, joy, whatever it may be, but obviously in the devotional context. Dare I ask if anybody read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 18 with purports? Put up your hand if you did. Bhagavan Prabhu did, yes? Anybody else? Oh, no hands.
Yes, Seva Rupa Maharaj.
Seva Rupa put up a hand. Bhagavan Prabhu put up a hand. I think Paramananda read it because he quoted to me from there. And Seva Rupa, she definitely quoted from there because she found where the good advice for milking a cow is to be found. In that chapter. Bhagavan Prabhu, any comment from yourself first?
I was making analysis in Maharaj. I just came. I don't even know what it was. I forgot about school. Paramananda told me about this.
Okay, it was a two-handed dandavat you were raising. All right, dandavat, Bhagavan Prabhu. Oh, well, all is good. Maybe Seva Rupa Devi Dasi would like to make a comment after reading that chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Dandavats, Hare Krishna. It was just, I think, like a slap in the face when you wake up to reality and you go, oh goodness, this is serious. So it was, this is like a hectic chapter, but it was also like enlightening at the same time to, and I didn't quite understand like everything.
Sure.
But yeah, so the essence that I took from there is that you can't really waste any time. It was about how each, I don't know how to classify them, but like the gods and the each part of creation, I think was getting there, like milking the earth for her, for whatever she had to offer. But it's this is what I got from it, that she's supplying everything for the service of Krishna. But if you are just taking from the earth for your own needs, then at some point she's going to stop supplying, because essentially she's doing it so that you can offer to Krishna. And when that supply ceases, that means that there's no more like vegetation, and then there's no more animals because they are sustaining themselves from the vegetation. And then like the humans that are like used to eating flesh, and that will start actually eating each other and their own like children, and that, which is so hectic. So yeah, that's what I got from that canto.
All right. And the urgency and the seriousness of what we're doing. And right, many thanks. And Paramananda, who also read that chapter, he made a little confession there. So Paramananda, would you like to contribute another angle from the chapter?
Maharaj, it just reminded me how Swami Maharaj was making a remark, and a humorous remark, basically saying to the devotees that you have to be successful in this life. Because if you're not, if we do a little time calculation, there's a big chance that we will be born in the time it is described in that chapter. And we will witness that degradation of the human society, over exploitation. So that's why Maharaj said, just make effort and go back to Krishna. Don't wait for that time to come. So that was the description. And well, today is the Vaishnava. I'm not sure what is it, a disappearance or appearance. You can, Maharaj, say something.
Or disappearance of Bhūgarbha Goswāmī and
Disappearance.
Kashishvar. I think disappearance of both of them, yes.
Yes.
Well,
another festival day.
Yes. I can say something briefly without having done any homework. I can say something briefly about each of them.
There's not much, actually. They're briefly mentioned everywhere.
Right.
No extensive biography, autobiography, or biography, or anything at all.
But before we go there, perhaps, I mean, we'll give honor, but we can just mention just one more thing about that chapter. That is, really, it is a special chapter to wake us up. And for some of us, it's early morning, so we need Jeev Jago and something to wake us up. But I mean to wake us up to the reality of what we're doing, the reality of what is Krishna consciousness, the reality of the processes of prasadam, of chanting, of sankirtan, etc. And Srila Prabhupada's nature, like so honest and clear. He's not diluting something so it'll be more attractive, so he'll sell more books or get more popularity by you should say sugarcoating something. And so Srila Prabhupada's nature just seemed to come out so clean and strong and clear to the line of in that chapter through his extensive, some verses had no purport, some had short purports, but through his the purports there, some of them had quite long purports. Anyway, I can only recommend, but what we find is encouraging, we're happy to share with others. So yes. And on that theme, you know, how we read something in one book and then it comes up in another book, it comes up in an audio we hear. And then we're reading from Dignity of the Divine Servitor. And there, Srila Gurudev, on different occasions, but where we're reading just now, then he's on the same theme of like, we have such a super opportunity. So, okay, we came across something good, we'll give it a go. But Gurudev is kind of very clearly, sweetly, but emphasizing this point of utilizing our fortune. He says, whatever little we've got, we utilize that. It's not there's any shortage from above. It's our capacity to hold it, our capacity to receive it. But whatever little we've got in our hand or one hand or whatever it is from that ocean, we should take this opportunity. And what we've got is something very wonderful. This is very much what's been given by Srila Gurudev, in part we're reading at the moment, in the Dignity of the Divine Servitor. And again, we're always saying, this is the best book ever. So forgive me for mentioning that chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam is the best chapter ever, that this book is the best book ever, etc., etc., etc. And yesterday we had the best lunch ever. And it tastes, and yesterday's lunch, what is it called? I don't remember. It has a real name, but it tasted like hot ice cream and without being sweet. It was very interesting. And it was offered, it was prasadam, it was offered to Giriraj, Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sunda. But how is it every day is the best ever? Because we're connected with Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. All right. Pranesvari. Oh, here we are, Bhūgarbha Goswāmī. Okay. Well, here Pranesvari done some homework. I was going to say also, okay, let's quickly read this and then I can say something too. Where, I don't know where this is from. It's in inverted commas. Pranesvari, where's the origin of this?
It's in the main site in our web page, the front page.
Great. Bhūgarbha Goswāmī was a friend of Lokanath Goswāmī, the Gurudev of Narottam. They came from the same place and lived in Vrindavan together. Revered Vaishnavas of unassuming nature. Kashishvar Paṇḍit was a godbrother of Mahaprabhu, a disciple of Ishvara Puri. At the time of Ishvara Puri's talking of disappearance. At the time of Ishvara Puri's disappearance, he asked those two of his disciples, Govinda and Kashishvar. At the time of Ishvara Puri's disappearance, he asked those two of his disciples, Govinda and Kashishvar, go to Krishna Chaitanya and serve him as long as you live. So after the disappearance of Ishvara Puripat, both of them went to Puri and surrendered themselves to the divine feet of Mahaprabhu. Okay, yes, very good. And we have also heard that Bhūgarbha Goswāmī, he was a friend of Lokanath Goswami, but a friend also of Rupa, Sanatana, of actually all of the Goswamis. And it's his disappearance day today. And so we can think his samadhi, and it may be Pushpa Samadhi, it may be the samadhi of his remains, their ashes. It's possible. It's a small samadhi, but it is his samadhi, which is the only samadhi, the only other like little temple or anything, which is close to Rupa Goswami's samadhi.
I think it was one of the few original samadhis in that courtyard, Maharaj, which is actually Rupa Goswami and Bhūgarbha Goswami. And then later other samadhis came.
Because Jiva Goswamis would have come later. Once.
Yeah.
And in this morning's class with Bhakti Lalita, she was saying that this Goswami used to practice underground.
Hence is the name. Bhū means Bhumi. Bhūgarbha, the one who is always in the womb, or sometimes interpreted, one who came out from the womb of the Bhumi, but also his way of bhajan was very unique. And his bhajan kutir is in Gokul, actually. So when we go to Vrindavan for a pilgrimage, it's a hole. It's not even a cave. It's just a hole in the ground. Like we have another devotee who did very similar bhajan in the courtyard of Radha Shyama Sundar temple in Vrindavan, very near from our temple, Rasikananda. He was also deep underground. So Bhūgarbha. Bhūgarbha. That's his proper name, Goswami. And very similar nature with Lokanath Das Goswami. We hear so many things about Lokanath Goswami, how he was renounced and hankered for no association whatsoever, no mundane association, any kind of association, just to be clear. So he would move quite often from one place to another place. And the famous story, when he would finish his water, he will turn it upside down so that people wouldn't come and approach him for water. Didn't want any interaction with mundane world. And both of them, they came from the same town. So while Lokanath Das Goswami is on the way to see Mahaprabhu, we heard that heartbreaking story where he's always late for a few days, Mahaprabhu leaves. And so he ends up in Vrindavan by Mahaprabhu's will. So Bhūgarbha Goswami, he joins him pretty much the same time. So they're the first Goswamis to enter Vrindavan, enter the Seva in Brajamandal. And not much mentioned, both of them requested Krishnadas Kaviraj not to mention their names and their extreme humility. But he's mentioned there once, and I remember that clearly. And it's the only incident where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes himself participating in that, very unusual. It's about Gopal, the deity of Gopal from the top of Govardhan, giving darshan to Rupa Goswami just before Rupa Goswami disappeared. And Rupa Goswami always desired to have the darshan of Gopal. And just like in Mahaprabhu time, when Mahaprabhu came and the deity wanted to see Mahaprabhu, so some rumors were spread by the will of the Lord that the Mohammedans are coming and they're going to attack the temple. So the deity was moved to another village. That's how Mahaprabhu got his darshan. So this particular time, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was there. So he is an eyewitness of that. The deity came under the same pretext to Mathura and was hidden in one Brahman's house. And all the Goswamis, headed by Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami already left. So just shortly before Rupa Goswami leaves the world, Gopal is giving that darshan. And Bhūgarbha Goswami is also listed as one of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, along with Raghunath Bhatta, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Das, Jiv Goswami, as participants of that, a darshan, and just staying in that house for several days, serving the Gopal deity. But otherwise, a very little mention, just very unusual way of performing bhajan, deep underground. So when we go next time, and when Maharaj takes us there, Maybe he can take us to that place in Gokul, the Bhajan Kutir of Bhūgarbha Goswāmī.
Maybe I can, but I'll probably need somebody else to be in front of me to take me there. I'll have to hold somebody's hand, probably Paramananda Prabhu.
Well, you have to move the legs of the puppet, legs in the hands, then the puppet may walk.
Well, my point is, I'm not sure where that cave is. Have I seen it?
We didn't go last time, Maharaj. We didn't.
No. I know Rasikananda's cave, which you mentioned. That is at the Radha Shyamasundar temple. And really, I mean, it's if you allowed yourself to go there, it's quite claustrophobic. Very tight space, very small, and practically by definition of a cave, no windows, no anything.
I'm also thinking they're not in that kind of consciousness when they're there. They are in the divine environment.
Yes.
So regardless, nobody is disturbing. No one is coming. No pigs, no dogs, no monkeys, no birds, no bugs, no one. So how perfect is that? So from that perspective, it's understandable.
Yeah. And a little clarification, when Paramananda was saying that one of those devotees who prayed to or very humbly but strongly requested to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj not to mention their names, Guru Maharaj explained that this also includes Prabodhananda Saraswati and others, that they know that it is the wish of Mahaprabhu that that Mahaprabhu's Leela will be revealed through Krishnadas Kaviraj. But Krishnadas Kaviraj, in one sense, I mean, in etiquette sense of Vaishnavism, is junior than Prabodhananda Saraswati and Bhūgarbha Goswāmī, etc. And so they don't, as senior devotees, they don't want their names being put there prominently because it will take attention away from Krishnadas Kaviraj's writings and presentation. So therefore, they're giving him all support. And therefore, that doesn't just mean, oh yes, be good and do it. That means they're giving their Vaishnavata, their Vaishnava capacity and the miracle of the transmission of Vaishnava, proper Siddhanta, everything. They're giving their blessing, not just, yes, okay, do. They're giving their blessing to Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj. And their contribution substantially in this way, but to help Mahaprabhu's Seva, then they're keeping themselves like one step away, so that they're not given prominence by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami.
Also, Gurudev mentions that in connection with Rupa Goswami, when he is glorifying Prabodhananda Saraswati, because really in the time of Mahaprabhu, the contemporaries of Mahaprabhu, he was practically the most qualified, one of the prominent composer of the verses. He was learned in Sanskrit, a great devotee of Mahaprabhu. We're speaking of Tungavidya Sakhi, one of the Ashta Sakhis. So we don't have to, describe his qualification. But what happened is, as soon as he hears that Mahaprabhu gives all the wealth that he came to give to Rupa Goswami, he stands back. He doesn't want to interfere. And Gurudev pointing out that sometime when he was reading or learning shlokas of Prabodhananda, in the beginning, he thought it's very similar to Rupa, just like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, very similar to Rupa Goswami by the composition, by the depth of ontology. So Prabodhananda Saraswati steps back and he gives full support to Rupa. So he doesn't want his name to be mentioned at all. He wants all attention to be focused on Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So really, it is amazing. Someone who is so qualified, staying in the shadows, but also composing beautiful compositions. And Srila Guru Maharaj is one of the most quoted persons in Prapana Jivanamritam, is actually Prabodhananda Saraswati. So many verses are in Prapana Jivanamritam, and all are very beautiful. And of course, Rupa Goswami.
Jai.
And Kashishvar Maharaj, Kashishvar Paṇḍit, we already talked during the Parikrama about a little bit.
And Paramananda has a head start on the rest of us because he's now 6 hours ahead of here. So he's had his morning program and had an opportunity to do a little homework. That's why he's smiling so much, because yes, I did some homework. But
well,
what
my
I can
memory
say,
is still fresh from Parikrama, Maharaj.
and his memory is still fresh from Parikrama. Okay, but what I can say also, a little introduction, and then we can hear some more from Paramananda just now too. But it is also Kashishvar Paṇḍit's disappearance day today. And again, one of the samadhis, or his samadhi, is there in Vrindavan. And when we are on the parikrama, we go to his samadhi. So like on the disappearance day, we can think of their samadhi. And his samadhi is right beside Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's samadhi. And it's near, it's near the Govindaji temple. The Govindaji temple is on the top of the hill. You go down the hill in front of the temple, you go down the hill, and then a little bit right, a little bit left, just, very nearby. And there in a beautiful garden, there is Kashishvar Paṇḍit's samadhi beside Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's samadhi. And so we go there, give our honor there. And Kashishvar, we know, yes, that he was very strongly built. And so he would clear a path for Mahaprabhu and protect him when he was going to the Jagannath temple and when he's in the Jagannath temple, so that he would get the minimum disturbance, as it were, from the people around him. And Kashishvar, he is certainly mentioned amongst those 7 Sankirtan parties that Mahaprabhu arranged around the Jagannath cart, the Jagannath Rath Yatra, as it's going along. And Kashishvar Paṇḍit named in many places. But yes, I'll pass the microphone over to Paramananda because he will help us do our homework when people ask us today, oh, Kashishvar Paṇḍit mentioned some things. Yes, Paramananda.
Something you mentioned, Maharaj, that place, I believe, is called 62 or 64 samadhis?
It's called 64 samadhis, but
64 samadhis.
That name is not approved, really. Yeah.
But it just come to my mind. You're going to, literally, from a mundane perspective, to a graveyard, because that's where the ashes or a pushpa or something, really, it's like a graveyard. And when I was a kid, we used to go at night, especially to a graveyard. And really, it's not a wonderful experience. It's just, it smells strange, it feels strange, it's super heavy. There is nothing cheerful about it. But when you go to similar place from, again, mundane perspective, from external point of view, but those are the saintly personalities whose ashes or remains are enshrined over there. You feel some kind of bliss, happiness. You're enlivened just to be there in the proximity of that place. And when we go, we talk about their glories. We talk about Krishna all the time, their service to Krishna, their instructions, anything related to Krishna. Naturally, that comes. Just remembering their names. What a drastic difference, I thought. Just came to my mind.
Right. Interesting view, indeed. And that garden, in fact, I may have said just now too, I always feel it's a sweet garden. It's just a sweet area.
Yes, all right.
And a very auspicious tree is that. Like this big tree with a big trunk and giving so much shade. I don't know the name.
I was just in my mind thinking about that tree.
And we can also understand that Vrindavan was full of so many trees, big trees like this at one time. And even in our time in Vrindavan, we've seen big trees cut down, which is like such a shame, such a shame. And here in Italy, in Europe, no doubt, in many places, there are so many regulations about what you can do and what you can't do. And, they can be, as we hear from the devotees, quite stifling, like what you can and cannot do, as far as, construction and cutting trees and things like this. But some regulation is good when it's used properly. and some regulation to stop the destruction of the trees. And they've done something in Vrindavan, because Seva Kunj, Nidhuvan, these places are protected from being covered over with concrete. But yes, so Kashishvar Paṇḍit, this a little introduction to him. And
so there is a reason why his samadhi is there, actually, because when he was serving with Govinda, he's serving Mahaprabhu. And then towards the end of Mahaprabhu's manifested pastimes, Mahaprabhu is sending him to Vrindavan. Because at that time, Rupa Goswami already discovered the deity of Govinda. And Raghunath Bhatta Goswami gives some service to his disciple, Maharaja Man Singh, to build the temple. So they wanted someone who can take charge of worshipping the deity, because as you know, Goswamis, quite often they will find the deity, they will worship for a while, they will establish a certain routine, a certain sadhana, puja. They will find someone who can do it, and then they will just go on, traveling in Raja Mandala, composing scriptures, doing their internal bhajan. So similar situation happened, but there was no one. So Mahaprabhu considered that Kashishvar should go and take charge of worshipping Govindaji. And then there's a heartbreaking story how he's telling Kashishvar Paṇḍit, who has been there for so many years with Mahaprabhu, serving him personally, that he needs to go to Vrindavan. And Kashishvar, immediately he's saying that if you want me to go to Vrindavan, then I will just leave my body right here, because I cannot tolerate a single moment of separation with you. So you can request me to go, but what's the point? I mean, somebody will just carry my dead body. So there will be no seva, because really, and he was not exaggerating. This is what was about to happen. He was ready to leave his body. And then Mahaprabhu said, oh, don't worry, I will come with you. And then he gives him a little, again, from the external point of view, a little deity that some say, and people say things, and Gurudev would quite often say, some say, is self-manifested deity. So Mahaprabhu manifested that deity, especially for Kashishvar Paṇḍit, not different from him, and the name is Gaur Govinda. And he's giving the deity. And why I remember that? Because we were recently in Jaipur and Govindaji temple, and that deity is right next. If you look at Govinda, you go down to the lotus feet of Govinda, there you will see a little metal deity, like a brass or something else, of Gaur Govinda of Kashishvar Paṇḍit. And Kashishvar Paṇḍit was able to leave Mahaprabhu, but actually Mahaprabhu never left Kashishvar Paṇḍit, and Kashishvar Paṇḍit never left Mahaprabhu. So he went to Vrindavan, and he was a priest of Govinda for some time. And later on, I think one of either his disciple or some other Goswami disciple, Haridas Paṇḍit, who is also a very well-known personality in Vraja, kind of a second generation of servitors in Govinda, he took over. So that's the Kashishvar Paṇḍit.
Jain, beautiful. And here, Pranesvari sent us the expansions of Advaita Acharya and Gadadhar Paṇḍit.
Oh yes, Bhūgarbha Goswāmī, he was a disciple of Gadadhar Paṇḍit.
Another branch of Gadadhar Goswami was Bhūgarbha Goswāmī. And another was Bhagavat Das. Both of them went to Vrindavan and resided there for life. Purport. So this is purport by Srila Prabhupada. Bhūgarbha Goswāmī, formerly known as Prema Manjari, Hare Krishna, was a great friend of Lokanath Goswami, who constructed the temple of Gokulananda, one of the 7 important temples of Vrindavan, namely Govinda, Gopinath, Madana Mohan, Radha Raman, Shama Sundar, Radha Damodar, and Gokulananda, that are authorized institutions of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna.
And just a remark, Maharaj, when they say Lokanath Das Goswami constructed Gokulananda temple, he didn't do it by himself. Again, it was all through well-wishers, disciples, and followers. I mean, Goswami is never engaged in construction of any permanent place, including the places of worship. But was delegated, that service was delegated to the Lokanath Das Goswami.
Jai. Yes. Any question or contribution from anybody today?
I have a question. I want to know if you can invite Jivana Didi, please. And
She's
Kumkum
here.
Didi,
She's already
please.
invited and she's with us. No, yes, tell us, Jivana Didi, because, of course, yes, we're happy to, but you have a reason.
Because when she joined, I saw her eyes, that she has something in her pocket.
Okay. Well, I can only see Jivana's eyes. I can see from her nose upwards. So we're seeing her eyes. Jivana Didi, yes, of course. We're very happy to invite you to say something as well as being here, but to reveal the treasure that you brought this week.
Well, the treasure was to log into this meeting and immediately see Pranesvari. That would make anybody brighten up immediately. But I have to say that I really loved Seva Rupa's wonderful summary of that 18th chapter of the 4th canto. He gave such a good description of it. I just looked up the 2 verses that she had mentioned last week. I think it was 9 and 10, and described about Mother Earth and how important it is to serve her master, the Lord, in order for her to be happy, to be able to produce so many things. And because my sisters, they have a little farm, and I was thinking that might be a nice thing to tell people like that. Also a kind of a good little piece of advice for them that can help them. But I really appreciated that summary a lot from Seva Rupa. And I just, I was reading a little something from the sermons of the Guardian of Devotion. And there was an interesting, of course, it's all really wonderful, but there was something that was kind of striking on page 50, which is, I think, the 3rd or 4th chapter, called The Success of Faith is the name of the chapter. And a lot of this that I've come up to so far is a lot about faith. This is the one that Paramananda had suggested we read a while ago. And it is, of course, amazing. Like you say, everything is the best thing we've ever read. So it was just saying that we, in here, Guru Maharaj is just saying that we need a sincere acquaintance with the soil on which we are moving. And it is unintelligible to the fullest extent, which also Seva Rupa had mentioned when she was speaking, that she said, I can't understand everything that's here. And you've also told us that too, it's not going to be possible. But it is unintelligible to the fullest extent, but we must spare some energy to cultivate a deeper feeling for where we are, what we want, and where we are going. We must have a deeper feeling for the plane of our objective and achievement. We must not allow ourselves to be captured by the outer charm of things, but we should try to feel and trace the reality as our friend. So I thought that was a really amazing way to express this really deep thought.
And how will we do it? What is your recommendation?
Well, I think that you and Paramananda, the devotees, are often saying that we should try to do our sadhana and do things with try to have some realization, some consciousness of what's behind what we're doing, not just to do it as a rote or just as something that we do, which is also better than not doing anything at all, to be clear, but to try to understand or pray. Actually, I'm not going to understand it. I'm just not going to understand it, but to pray, to have some sincerity, some some realization in our hearts. And that's, when we chant, to pray to the holy name, to please have mercy on us and to purify us and to reveal our service that way. Like Srila Prabhupada would say when chanting Hare Krishna, it's like a child crying out to its mother in a desperate situation. And it's not that easy to it's not that easy to maintain that consciousness. Actually, for me, it's not even really possible to touch that kind of consciousness, but it is a prayer that we can always be having. Does that make some sense?
It does. And there were three things. Now I'm going to test myself, right? Three. Okay, here's some advice from Gurudev. As you were saying that, then I'm thinking by what you're expressing. Here are three things that Srila Gurudev is recommending or telling us clearly. The main thing required for our devotional practicing life is that we try to develop the three qualities. Now, we can all think, oh, what are these three qualities? You're going to say humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. I know. Okay, but here, Gurudev is saying, is that we try to develop the three qualities: prayer, sincerity, and dedication. So this is the main thing required for our devotional practicing life, is that we try to develop the three qualities: prayer, sincerity, and dedication. That's kind of a good one to keep in our heart and at our front. Prayer, sincerity, and dedication. And on the point of sadhana, by the way, you just mentioned my sadhana, and also here's Gurudev, and we just read this, and this is why I was remembering this. Krishna is very merciful, and he has given us the chance to go to our own home through our divine masters. So he's given us our chance through our divine masters to go to our own home. It is necessary to plant and cultivate what you have received from them, as spiritual masters. And that is through sadhana, spiritual practice. If we follow their guidelines by chanting the holy names of the Lord, reading the holy books, serving the real holy Vaishnavas, living without making offenses, and maintaining our lives with their prasadam, then we must return to our holy home. That is real sadhana. And this is in reply to somebody, then Gurudev is saying, and as you are trying to do this, I am very happy. Hare Krishna.
Quite often, Maharaj, she will quote the verse in that connection, really numerous times, spoken by Kapila Muni to Devahuti, confirming that very point. When Kapila Muni is saying that Devahuti wants to have instructions how she can achieve perfection, and Kapila Muni is on the way out. But last instructions, there's a whole book actually, the teachings of Kapila Muni by Swami Maharaj. But the verse is Satat Prasanga Mama Virya Samvido Bhavanti Harit Karnara Sayana Katata Josanatas Pavarga Vatmani Shradharatir Bhaktir Anukramishiti. So he's saying, and Gurudev quite often, what we need is the good company, the company of the sadhus. If you just be in their company, that Rasayana Katha, that nectar of the topics of Krishna, will enter your ear. Automatically you will be adjusted. Automatically you will do your sadhana. You will get inspiration. You will all those qualities. Utsaha, Nishchaya, Dharya, Tat, Karma, Pravartana, Rupa Goswāmī describes. It's nothing we acquire by some kind of a tapasya or following rules and regulations. It will come as an inspiration from the core of our heart. And our heart will be awakened by association with those great personalities, the devotees of Krishna. And it is also conformed. It's already there. You just need to wake up, awakening in our heart. So, and then it concludes. Then some faith will come in the process. And while you're cultivating, having that association, serving, cultivating, do your sadhana, do your bhajan with faith, then some rati, the taste will come. And then it will result in bhakti. It's a shortened version of that. It will come to that point without any doubt, but it all starts there. The rasayana katha of the great souls. That's where our position should be. Everything else will come. And often Srila Gurudev said, all that is required from my disciples and followers is to be loyal, be sincere, and try to listen what I am giving. What I am giving is coming directly from Guru Maharaj. I'm not giving anything of myself. And that will benefit you eternally. Those were Gurudev's words.
This is Gurudev, the transparent medium, the engager of the whole world, the fortunate souls of the whole world, in Seva to Guru Maharaj, connecting to Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Yes, dear devotees.
Here we have
Chinmoy
Kumkum
Devi.
Dasi.
Kumkum, yes, of course, each one. I was thinking Chinmoy Devi, he's constantly engaged in transcription and...
I will just say one little thing, that because it harks back to the beginning where you saying everything is the best. Guru Maharaj was there one time when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was asked, what, he was given prashad, and he said, what preparation was the best? And he said, everything is the best. And he said that each preparation was better than the last preparation. And there's just this kind of vision of the transcendental world, like everything is better than the next thing. Always infinite.
Jai. Yes, Raul. And may he grace us with that proper vision, and not only vision, but vision and feeling. Jai. Yes, Chinmoy. And if other things come to mind, do put up a hand, because very happily we know that you are constantly hearing and transferring from VHS tape and from audio tape to digital. So you're hearing many things, and some things may be very relevant to our discussions. So if there's something you want to share, don't be shy to say so. Share. If you want to share, don't be shy to say so. In Bengali, it'll come like that, because every S is a sh. Kumkum Dasi, you've been waiting to say, so now you've got something wonderful for us. Please, we are coming to request.
It's so wonderful to hear the assembly here and their comments. Here, we've been very enlivened as usual, but to hear how Srila Saraswati Thakur answered his guru, who advised him not to go to the big city where Kali prevails, because here in San Jose, Silicon Valley means where everyone believes that technology will save us, and they're very encouraged like that. And so why would we want to be in this environment but for Srila Saraswati Thakur's answer, which of course we'll try to aspire for, that there's so much mercy in the foot dust of our guru that we believe that all of this can be rectified and purified. And especially because of, well, in addition to this kind of blessings, we also have the blessings that nearby where the first books in English language were published of Srila Guru Maharaj. So to have this connection from Srila Saraswati Thakur and his great disciple Srila Guru Maharaj wanting only to promote him. And so we learned that from him, but also Srila Govinda Maharaj himself constantly telling us all about Srila Guru Maharaj and helping us to establish this connection. And specifically, about 48 hours from now, so for us that's Friday evening, we will be celebrating the 21st anniversary of Srila Govinda Maharaj doing exactly that here in St. James Street. And so we hope that Srila Janardhan Maharaj will be able to come, but we'll definitely be online. And so we can be meditating on how remarkable it is that our gurus have made this healthy, this very healthy and available access to their teachings. And so everyone who can attend is definitely invited.
Jai. 21st anniversary. You're very good at keeping a diary or keeping dates.
That one's easy to remember because the year was 2000. So it was the 1-year anniversary of the installation of Sri Sri Radha, Vrindavan. Radha, please. In Vrindavan, our Vrindavan.
Our deities, Guru Gauranga Gandhavika, Rasa Bihari.
Rasa Bihari. So 1-year anniversary of their installation was this installation here. And very important day anyway. That was the day that Srila Gurudev chose. And it's also the end of Kartik month, I believe. So very auspicious time.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Is Rupanuga wearing a t-shirt saying Heart to Heart Project, feeding all souls?
I don't know. We'll have to look a little bigger to see. Maybe we can spotlight Rupanuga's t-shirt.
Yes, Heart to Heart Project, feeding all souls. That's a good project. Depends what is the food. Rupanuga Prabhu, what kind of food?
Oh, I thought you might know about it already. Sabhanava and Kelly, we feed the homeless. My job is the delivery driver, and we they make the vegan food and take it to the homeless in Byron Bay. Our service.
Jai.
Yeah.
And in California, from the Santa Cruz temple, at least I know, that they distribute, and I've also gone with the devotees, doing something similar, but not on such a regular and organized basis, and going to the homeless in Santa Cruz and places like that. Of which there are many, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
But California and also New South Wales, where you are, it's a suitable environment to be homeless because you don't have snow and all those things.
Maharaj.
In India, the homeless called sadhus.
Well, that's the
So-called.
that's one impression, isn't it? Hare Krishna. And that's what Srila Saraswati Thakur tried to change also, that just because somebody is wearing rags, wearing just some regular cloth and not shaved and everything, doesn't mean that he's a sadhu. And such a name, a bad name had come to the Gaudiya Vaishnavism because people were taking up the cloth, but not taking up the practice. Like Chaturmasya, doing this, but not maybe doing some external things, but not the practice. So we always need the emphasis on the practice and to be presentable externally, so that a policeman, he wears a policeman's uniform, but he has to be a proper policeman. He shouldn't be one of the criminals dressed as a policeman.
Maharaj,
Hare Krishna. Yes, Kumkum.
I know a little bit about a very nice sounding program that Pranesvari Didi is involved with there in Miami, which is distribution of prasadam to senior Vaishnavas who are not able to get out and come to the temple. So they take prasadam to their homes.
Jai.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful project held here by the devotees at the ISKCON Temple in Coconut Grove. And I didn't know about it. It was a friend of mine. And she had this service and she had a problem. And I called her and she said, I cannot make it. And I said, okay, I'm near, so I can go. And I helped, and it was so beautiful, so beautiful. All these Vaishnavas with their japas in their hands, it's so sweet. All of them, 80, 85, 87. So sweet, Maharaj, so beautiful.
And our oldest known devotee, disciple of Srila Gurudev, he was from Australia. But now within the last, I suppose, 2 or 3 years, he did pass away. And his name was Radha Raman Prabhu. And he lived in an old person's home. But what a wonderful character. And all the nurses and doctors in that, they called assisted living or something, they all loved him and said he was completely exceptional. And he took prasadam, offered his food in his room, and on the ball, physically little troublesome, but still active in to some degree, doing gardening. And he was the oldest known. Now I'm not sure who is the oldest. If we have a competition for the oldest disciple of Gurudev or Guru Maharaj, I'm not sure who. But you see, Pranesvari saying about in Florida, they have that community. And Alachua, is it? Is that
Alachua is north of Florida, is about 6 hours from here.
But that's probably the biggest community of devotees in the world, outside of India, because Mayapur
is the whole city, Maharaj. The city was built around the temple, so the center of the city are the deities. Very, very nice, very sweet. They have a temple here, South Miami. Beautiful, beautiful installations and beautiful deities. Very large temple, very nice. But not in Alacha. Alacha is 6 hours north.
And Narayani Nadia was there recently, she told us. Okay. So, to each of you, and to Leela Shakti Didi, to all, new or old, everybody can come with a little treasure, something that gives you inspiration. And Udaran Prabhu, I'll be very quiet, Jayadev this week, and Chintamani. I hope you're both well. And to each of you, and Priyanana, I can contact you in a second about the photo you sent.
I am well, Maharaj, with your association.
Okay, Jayadev Prabhu, happy to hear your voice. All right, and to all of you, and to on Facebook and on Zoom, and who will be with us later. When you're seeing us, we'll be together. It won't even be later. We'll be talking in the present time. The amazing things about technology, which Kumkum is telling us, is coming from San Jose. But the amazing thing about technology, the devotional application of it, let us use nicely. And all other application of it, let us give our respect at a distance. And if we can see a way to use it, to utilize it in service, then we will utilize in service. Okay, dear devotees, my obeisances to you all. The day continues, and wishing you all good things in this coming week, and do bring some treasure with you next time. And I have some treasure which I didn't reveal, and let's see if I still have that same treasure when we see on the next occasion. New things come up all the time, and as Chinmoy Dev Prabhu was saying, then every preparation is better than the other. So we might have better and better preparations by next time, but they all will be the best as we come around the plate. Jai Shila Gurudev Shila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shila Guru Maharaj Shila Bhakti Rakha Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shila Prabhupada Shila Isi Bhaktiranta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Bhaga ki Jai. Jai Shri Kashishvar Paṇḍit ki Jai. Shri Bhūgarbha Goswāmī ki Jai. And when we are there, we have to think of Jai Shri Rupa Goswāmī ki Jai, Shri Six Goswāmī, Shad Goswāmī ki Jai, Lokanath Goswāmī ki Jai, Shri Radha Damoda ki Jai. And well, we can get carried away if we start thinking about all the deities there. But we can say Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra on the left side, as we'll see, ki Jai, Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai, Shri Radha Child Chikan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj of Sanatan Goswami ki Jai. Jai Shri Seva Kunj ki Jai, Shri Guru Goranga Gandhava Rasa Bihari Ju ki Jai, and Navadeep Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev ki Jai, and the deities of Guru Maharaj and Gurudev, Shri Guru Goranga Gandhava Govinda Sundar Ju ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinama Sankirtan ki Jai, all the assembled devotees ki Jai, and all the worldwide and Vishwa, is it? Anyway, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda, all the unlimited devotees ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. And just before we go, see whether you and I can remember 3 things which Gurudev said was the main thing is those 3 things. Look, Priyananda's counting them on her hand. And PSD.
Prayer,
sincerity, dedication.
Okay, very good. So we can take from PSD, prayer, sincerity, and dedication. So let's see if we can manage to remember this at all times, but at least until 3 days' time. Friday, Saturday, yes, 3 days' time when we meet again.
And
all right. Yes.
I will have to talk to you after the meeting for a few minutes.
Okay. I'm available. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj, Jai Shri Gurudev, to all of you. Dandavat Pranam. Ami Ashchi. Thank you all very much for being here. Hare
Krishna. Bhaktirajan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Time to go.
Hare Krishna.